The silence in the Galactic Council chamber was deafening. For the first time in 3 centuries, the human delegation's seat sat empty, not abandoned in protest but quietly vacated, as if humanity had simply decided the conversation was no longer worth having. Jessica Chen stood on the observation deck of the Exodus Dawn, watching the blue marble of Earth shrink in the viewport. Her reflection stared back at her, tired eyes, silver streaks in her dark hair, the insignia of humanity's chief diplomat still pinned to her collar. She hadn't bothered to remove it yet. Behind her, James Rodriguez monitored the fleet status on a holographic display, his jaw set in that familiar expression of controlled anger. "All ships reporting green across the board," James said, his voice flat. 2,000 colony vessels, 400 defense frigates, and the entire civilian population successfully evacuated. "We're officially ghosts." Jessica didn't respond immediately. She traced her finger along the viewport, following Earth's Terminator line where day met night. Somewhere down there, the Council's enforcement fleet was probably just discovering what humanity had left behind. Empty cities, powered-down infrastructure, and a single message broadcast on every frequency. "We're done talking. Goodbye." It had been 17 years since Jessica first walked into the Council chambers as Earth's representative. She remembered the optimism, the naive belief that humanity's inclusion in the galactic community meant something. The elder races, the crystalline Kresh, the aquatic Morvani, the ancient speakers, had welcomed humanity with what seemed like genuine enthusiasm. Then came the restrictions. First, it was humanity's military capabilities. "Too aggressive," the Kresh had declared. "You must reduce your fleet by 70%. Humanity complied, trusting in the Council's protection. Then it was their expansion. "You grow too quickly," the Morvani cautioned. "Accept these colonization quotas." Humanity obeyed, believing in the wisdom of their elders. Then came the technology suppressions, the trade limitations, the cultural guidelines. Each restriction was delivered with the same patronizing concern. "It's for your own good." "You're still so young." James had been the first to call it what it was. "They're not protecting us, Jess, they're containing us. We scare them." Jessica had dismissed it as paranoia, until the Kresh incident. When pirates raided the Kresh homeworld, humanity offered assistance. Their reduced but still formidable fleet could have ended the crisis in days. The Council refused. "We will handle our own affairs," they'd said. 30 million Kresh died in the prolonged siege. When humanity independently developed quantum fold technology that would revolutionize faster-than-light travel, the Council didn't celebrate. They confiscated it. "Too destabilizing," they ruled. The human scientists who created it were invited to share their knowledge, which meant their research was copied, and they were sent home with nothing. Then came the final insult. The Morvani outbreak. A plague had swept through their underwater cities, killing millions. Human medical teams had developed a cure within weeks. Humanity's rapid iteration approach to problem-solving once again proving its worth. But the Council didn't request the cure. They demanded it, not as partners but as tribute. "You owe us for the privilege of Council membership," the speakers had intoned. Jessica had delivered the cure personally, expecting gratitude. Instead, she received criticism for humanity's reckless experimentation and a new set of regulations limiting human medical research. That night, she'd returned to her quarters and found James waiting with a bottle of whiskey and a proposal that would change everything. "What if we just left?" he'd asked. The idea was insane. Humanity had spent 2 centuries integrating into galactic society. They'd built trade relationships, cultural exchanges, diplomatic frameworks. To leave would mean isolation, uncertainty, starting over. But as Jessica sat with James that night, something crystallized in her mind. Humanity hadn't joined the Council as partners. They'd been adopted as children, useful, occasionally impressive, but never truly equal. Every achievement was met with suspicion, every innovation with restriction. The Council didn't want humanity to succeed. They wanted humanity to stay manageable. The planning had taken 5 years. In secret, human engineers designed ships capable of crossing the galactic void to uncharted space. Human diplomats quietly extracted every piece of technology, every scrap of knowledge they could from Council databases. Human leaders coordinated the greatest exodus in history, a simultaneous, synchronized departure of every human from every council world, and they'd done it without telling anyone. The council's reaction had been predictable. First confusion, then concern, then anger. Jessica had watched the emergency broadcasts, the frantic calls for humanity to return to explain themselves. The speakers declared it an act of betrayal. The creche demanded explanations. The Morvani accused humanity of cowardice, but humanity sent no representatives to those meetings. They sent no messages, no explanations, no justifications. They simply left. Council ships are pursuing, James reported, his tone amused. They're demanding we stop for negotiations. Are they in weapons range? Jessica asked, not even close. Our ships are twice as fast as anything they have. James pulled up the tactical display. Looks like they just realized we've been holding back our capabilities. Jessica allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had learned to play the game. They'd appeared compliant while quietly surpassing their teachers. The primitive humans had outthought, outbuilt, and outmaneuvered the ancient races who'd underestimated them. A transmission alert chimed. Jessica recognized the frequency. It was Council Priority 1, reserved for galactic emergencies. Put it through, she said. The hologram of Speaker Prime materialized. Its ancient features creased with something Jessica had never seen before: fear. Jessica Chen, it began, its voice lacking its usual authority. The Council wishes to discuss terms for humanity's return. We acknowledge there may have been misunderstandings. We're prepared to offer full partnership status, unrestricted technology access, and no, Jessica said simply. The speaker seemed to freeze. You must understand, without humanity, the Council faces serious challenges. Your medical technology, your military innovations, your problem-solving capabilities, you need us now, Jessica interrupted. You needed us during the creche incident. You needed us during the Morvani plague. You've always needed us. You just refuse to treat us as equals. She stepped closer to the hologram. We're done being your children. We're done being managed. Where will you go? The speaker asked, and Jessica heard genuine desperation in its voice. Somewhere you'll never find us, she replied. Somewhere we can build our own future. And when we return to this galaxy, if we return, it will be as equals or not at all. She terminated the connection. James came to stand beside her at the viewport. Behind them, 2,000 ships carrying the entire human species ventured into the unknown, leaving the Galactic Council to contemplate what they'd lost. Not through war or catastrophe, but through their own arrogance. Think they'll learn? James asked. Jessica watched the stars ahead, countless possibilities waiting in the darkness. Maybe, but it's not our problem anymore. Humanity had spoken its final words to the Council. Now silence would teach the lesson that centuries of diplomacy could not. Some species are meant to lead themselves, and the greatest mistake is trying to cage what refuses to be contained. The Exodus dawn jumped to faster than light, and humanity disappeared into the cosmic dark, leaving behind only questions, regrets, and the echo of a lesson learned too late.